It's not a politician thing. We have to trust more the companies, and we don't right now, because the politicians, their currency is fear. That's what we live on right now. That's how we get our votes, by creating fear. And I think that's actually what's stopping your development. We have to embrace it. Let me have just one example before I will turn the table back to you. In Denmark, we have, of course, a lot of people driving a Tesla. The Tesla has 18 cameras. They can, all the time, it can look 360 degrees. I have 2 eyes. And in Denmark, it's not allowed to use this Tesla self-driving service. Not allowed. We are not allowed to do it. Because I think politicians say it's dangerous, and we think that our 2 eyes that have to turn on the radio and drink some coffee and yell at the children, they are better. And that's typical for a human being, to say we are better at everything. Nothing can beat us. Yes, they can. 18 cameras doing nothing else than security can beat my eyes, I can tell you that. So that's lawmakers actually stopping a technology that we need to enforce.
You're quite right about that. Tom, a question for you is, AI technologies and robotic and Android technologies are evolving. How are governments supposed to basically come up with a balance of, unemployment issues as well as ethical standards?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. The whole conference has actually been fantastic, and so many of the people and ideas that I've learned over the past 2 days, I'm going to take back with me and speak to the team and try to imbibe it into everyone that I meet. But to take a big step back, I mean, if you look at the last 30 years, robotics in the industrial setting has really been in a structured, confined space. So take a factory or an assembly line. And as the minister is kind of pointing out, this invention of LLMs and specifically new robotic technologies has allowed those tools to leave a structured environment and actually enter a dynamic, unstructured environment. And with that comes the importance of safety and understanding the potential concerns. I'm not a politician. I'm an inventor and an operator. So what my company does is we build the largest and heaviest drones in the world. And we're designing them to pick up items and transport them over large distances. And these are pallets, so hundreds of kilograms. And for us, what we believe all companies in this space, with the trust of the politicians as we build it, it's really around getting regulatory alignment and then working with data to ensure that things are being safe. And through that lens, I think it's very important that, given that we're actually expanding out to other environments, that those things are being conducted in the safest of possible spaces. So with my company, for example, we see an unlimited number of use cases in the transport space, but instead of trying to lift cargo pallets over Manhattan or Mumbai, we're actually looking to ship in the most remote of locations. That gives us an environment where we actually can design and develop the technology safely, build that trust with society and organizations with regulatory alignment, and then expand that to new environments. On the subject of unemployment, I mean, certainly these technologies will have a knock-on effect of replacing labor. An intelligent robotic system effectively is labor. And on our manufacturing lines, we also almost look at what we're producing as individual labor units. But within that change, what we're starting to discover is there's actually a huge responsibility and a need for a human to be in the loop. Now, as the service continues to expand, we're starting to discover more and more opportunities for humans to have that sort of impact. So it will be a transitional moment, but overall, very excited and optimistic about what's to come.
Well said, Tom. Mr. Agrawal, we are quickly advancing and making very sophisticated robotics, but this is something that struck my mind. Will we ever get to a point, where robots and Android robots and AI-powered machines will have the skill, the dexterity, the intuition that humans do?
Yeah, first of all, great question. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm a roboticist by training. I've been working in robotics area for about 40 years or so. And even though right now we identify industrial robots and android robots as two separate lines of robots, but if you go back, say, 20 years ago, people were trying to create these bio-inspired robots. And these are robots which are flying robots, walking robots, running robots, and so on. And this has sort of evolved over time. And I mean, whenever you are designing a machine, there is a machine intelligence, and then there's a software intelligence, right? And you're combining those together to achieve the kind of task that you want to see. And coming back to your questions, would we have some day where all of these robots are working together in an intuitive manner? And I think yes. Already there are studies, or there are various research programs where you have collaborative robots which are working together. This could be a set of flying robots, or a set of walking robots, or running robots, or maybe the groups of flying robots kind of interacting with ground robots. So I think that if I were to sort of extrapolate this in the future, I think we would see robots in this environment where we have people, we have walking robots, we have flying robots, and they are trying to understand the situation and interact with each other. So I think I'm very optimistic that very soon we have, I mean, all of these collaborative machines would be in and around us.
Well said, sir. Now, Jep, Europe has a very robust, strict regulatory environment when it comes to emerging technologies. Do you think that is something that will help build trust, or is that something that can, somehow slow down innovation?
I think it slowed down the innovation. If you see on California, I visited Silicon Valley not a long time ago. They actually said, the politicians I met, they said, if we have a problem with something, if we have an ethical problem or something we would like to make legislation about, we actually ask the companies to fix it. And they start to do that. Not one company, but all companies. They meet because they have to talk to politicians. I think politicians, they think they know all. We think we know all. I couldn't say other than we. We think we know all. And we think we actually also can make legislation on this. And you can see in every country where they try to do it, I said it also in my keynote yesterday, we try to make some legislation. First we have to find the problem, then we have to find out how to stop the problem, then we put it all on paper, then we have to vote, and when we vote and it's a yes, then the problem had disappeared because the system is always, we are making laws about the past, because the past is yesterday in this area. So we have to, and I think actually, I know that the companies are actually also interested in this, because trust is important also to them. And that's what we forget. And even in your question, there was, behind the lines, there was a little, we all remember Schwarzenegger and Terminator. And that's the question always, because Terminator is our mind that this will take over, they will kill us all, they will, And this trust, of course, politicians would like the citizens to have this trust. Right now we are talking about distrust. We are saying that they are all liars, and Zuckerberg is a liar, and everyone is evil people. That's the politicians' way. And I think we are wrong, because if we sit together with these companies, they actually all want the citizens to trust a robot, because that's how they will get into our houses. Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tom, I have a question for you. From a CEO's perspective, when it comes to the global acceptance as well as scaling of robotics, what is a bigger barrier? Is it the cost, the regulation, or is it the slow advancement in technology?
I mean, as an operator, and someone involved in kind of the cutting edge of technology, you're faced with tons of challenges, right? The technology being the most difficult one to actually invent. When it comes to the regulatory side, I personally look at it like any other challenge state that we have to engage with. I think one thing to take a step back on is, the narrative around evil AI and these types of systems, I'm sure there are some that have negative intent, but really it's up to the regulators to look through some of that, look at the individuals behind it and work with them. In our case, we're talking about big, heavy flying objects. The last thing that we would want is there to be an accident, right, for something to occur. And I think if you look behind a lot of the people who are actually developing this, there are human beings there. And what you begin to learn as an operator is working with regulators, gaining that alignment, having that communication, not only leads to great commercial success and deployment of the technology, but it actually leads to the purpose of it all, which is allowing humanity to enjoy the benefits of these systems that we're actually developing. So it's really a balance, but the regulatory process is an important one, and one that we look at in the same way that we look at power being a challenge, or manufacturing, or supply chain. It's just another component to the larger system. And it's something that, it's important that everyone works together with trust and understanding.
All right, we have a paucity of time, Mr. Agrawal. I'm going to ask you this last question, and I would appreciate if your answer can be brief. What do you think is the future? Are we going to have a world where you have fully autonomous robots, or do you think it's going to be more of a collaborative structure where you have human intervention as well as, a certain semblance of robotics as well?
I would feel that it'll be a combination. I think humans will always be the sort of the leader or supervisor. Robots will also be there as teams, but I think the humans would actually be the leaders of this group of robots and the humans.
Fair enough. Gentlemen, thank you so much. It was a brief but a very illuminating session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for that. And of course, it is very important to end always on a futuristic note, which is why we ended with that session on the Android race versus industrial robotics. Thank you all very much for that session. All right, on that note, we come to the end of day 2 of NXT, but one more day remains. Yes, tomorrow we will be back here at Bharat Mandapam in the national capital for lots more sessions, powerful speakers, and some very insightful conversations. So see you back here. And of course, we'll be broadcasting live on our channels and digital platforms as well. NXT 2026 resumes tomorrow. For now, good night, goodbye.
in the midst of death, life persists. In the midst of untruth, truth persists.
And at the outset, I must appreciate our heartfelt thanks and appreciation. Dr. Jitendra Singh is a person who understands where this country is going under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, and the true practical, important necessity of finding solutions for Indian problems the Indian way. So much progress is being made, so much interesting things are happening, and so many of the scientific departments doing them are, of course, in the ministries that he leads. Dr. Jitendra Singh, welcome back to NXT 2026. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Sir, you know, we have the astronauts with us, and there's so much to talk about on the space sector, but you handle so many things, interesting developments, which not only our Indian audience, but our international audience must know about. In a practical sense, we have seen so many developments taking place in